All right, friends, here we are back in Mineral Wells, Texas. Beautiful lake right over that direction now.
Yeah.
If this is your first video, or heck, you may have seen I just shot a video, or you may have seen I have a video on a skinny guy camper. Technically was the first one I shot here today. Now, you may be asking, Alex, hey, you're a little ways from home. Yeah, you're right. So I am actually out here with my friends with BTR Outfitters to shoot a bunch of videos on some pretty cool campers.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Now, before I get going with this video, I think all of these videos, I have a little bit of a disclaimer that I'm going to share with you all here. This is not a sponsored video. I flew over here on my own dime. The folks with BTR Outfitters were kind enough to allow me to get my hands on. I'm shooting one on a AT topper, a skinny guy camper, a kit and caboodle. This one right here, yes, another video on a Topo 2. Why, you say? Well, Alex.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I like these things, and many of you have been asking some questions, so hence the reason we're rolling out with another video on a Topo 2. These things are really super awesome. And then, of course, we're going to AT topper, which I think I said that one. Oh, one of the snow trailers R20. Actually, I'm just going to get a little bit of a footage on that because the trailer that they have here has some safes in it, and so I'm just going to inject that into the video that I shot last weekend on that one. Anyway, yeah, so get that out of the way. Not a sponsored video, have not been paid a dime. I do not benefit from one bit at all. I'm trying to, one of the reasons why we put these videos out here, many of you are on the fence trying to decide what trailer is right for you, and often cases you're looking for those comprehensive kind of bird's eye view of those trailers and so forth, like the Topo 2, which many of you who have asked for more of a walk around, and that's what we're going to be delivering here today. I'm going to go around kind of similar fashion and kind of lift up the veil and kind of point out various things that I think would be important if you're on the fence or trying to decide whether or not a Topo 2 is right for you. So good old fashioned, I have my handheld camera here. We're going to start over on the driver's side front here. And one of the first things that we are going to point out here, you have this massive amount of storage space up in the front here. Now, actually, before I get into that, one thing I do want to point out here. So let's get some of the basics out of the way. This trailer, you're talking about something that is 13.5 feet long. It is 84 inches, I want to say it's 84 inches wide, and it's 80.5 inches tall. Now, the weight of this dry is about 2,000 pounds. You have a tongue weight of 250 pounds. Now, when you think about it, look at how far back that axle is right there. All of this is, you know, for that being 250 pounds, isn't bad at all. That's actually pretty awesome. So with that said, back on the nose here, you have a tremendous amount of storage inside of this thing right here. You have your propane tank up on the top right, and you have all these anchor points here. So as you're driving around and so forth, you can secure. These things are actually pretty cool. And you have these little anchor points that you can move and mount all over the place to secure whatever that you have in here. So again, a lot of storage space, and we're going to close this bugger back up, and we're going to move our way back. Now, one of the first things I want to point out here, now I've said it many times over and over again, I have never been a teardrop or fan of teardrops. Matter of fact, the original Topo, I'm not a fan of. I don't like it. It's not for me. The Topo 2, when they came out with this thing, this was such a big home run. And that's also why on the channel here, you don't see me talking about the original Topo. I didn't like it. When this one came out, yeah, hence the reason you guys see 1,000 videos out on this trailer for me is because I really like this trailer. I don't have 1,000, but you get the point where I'm leaning with this. Anyway, unlike many other teardrops out in the market, this is not made from wood, and it's not made of any sort of alloy. Instead, you have a composite shell here, and that creates this really kind of contemporary, sleek finish. And then it doesn't hurt that they have these, kind of triangular shaped windows in here, and this, I'm not sure what shape that door is, but it really does pop out quite a bit. But at any rate, so this thing looks really fantastic. You have a little branding here for the Escapod on the side. You have these big beefy hinges, 2 on each door. Now, one thing that I do want to point out here, which for me is a big selling point about this particular trailer. If I was on the market for this trailer, this would be one of the things that would excite me. I mean, look at how big that door is. That gives you plenty of space to be able to get in, get out. And with a big door like this, look, you have these screen doors that attach from the inside via through Velcro, and that's going to give you tremendous amount of airflow going through there. When you get to a spot, even if it's a little warm. Now this one right here, this has the upgraded Dominic AC unit up on the top. Otherwise, you can get a Max Air system. If you've not used the Max Air, man, it is like a turbine strapped to your roof. You turn that thing on, and you have these doors open. That creates a massive amount of airflow being sucked up through the doors, up through the top, and it works pretty awesome. So 2 screens on both doors, big doors like this, that's going to be some pretty awesome stuff. Now, moving to the back further, each side has a little light here for at night and so forth. The switch for that is actually right here. Turn that bugger on. Now, obviously, it's daytime. We're not going to see that, but you can get an idea of how that works. Moving back, okay, you have your, to camp or at home, you want to charge the batteries, plug it in and so forth, charge the house batteries. Now inside of here, there is 240 amp hours of lithium batteries inside of this. Now there's also a Truma hot water and hot air heater inside of this thing as well, which is very efficient. So you're kind of 2 birds, 1 stone with 1 single unit, and that does work on propane. Pretty awesome stuff. These guys really build a solid product. Now again, this finish right here, they have a lot of really amazing colors. Now the last video I shot, which was with Chris, he's the owner over at Escapod, and they were showing off at the Overland West Expo that new red, which, man, is absolutely amazing. Now if we direct our attention up above, you have a roof rack system on there, which is going to be pretty awesome because, let's climb up on here. So now while you have the AC unit on here, you still have room that you can mount a bike rack or a kayak and still be able to benefit of that RTX 1000 AC unit, which by the way is an absolute beast. But on the end here, as we can see here, we have an awning. Now this is standard with this trailer here. So once you get out to location, nice warm day like this, you want to get out of the sun, boom, extend the awning, and you are off to the races. Now we're going to come back here. Now in a minute, I'm going to, once I get through playing around with the kitchen, I'm going to show you a table, which happened to be one of the cool hidden treasures that I mentioned. Treasure? You know, I didn't call it a treasure in that video, but again, we're just going to punch it. We're going to go with it. Anyway, there's a cool table that comes out of the kitchen that extends over this and allows you some seating space to sit down with your family, eat dinner, play games, whatever you want, but that is also some pretty cool stuff. Now, one thing I do want to point out, as I'm coming down here, I'm reminded about this big beefy frame that is on here. This is all galvanized steel, very sturdy, really, really solid in what you want. All right, so now as we come around to the back here, one thing I do want to point out, or not signature, but traditional style looking trailers, they came out with something very unique. When you look at a lot of teardrops, they're very vanilla. They all kind of follow that safe path. Well, Escapod with the Topo 2, they came out with something very unique. And it doesn't just stop with the visual side of it that we see here, but underneath this is a 23-inch clearance. But next, what these guys did is they designed a proprietary free ride suspension that is going to keep this thing where you want it, planted and feeling great on the road. And friends, towing this thing is an absolute dream. As cliche as that sounds, but it tows really nice, friends. And you have a couple stabilizers here in the back. Those are pretty simple. You can see you just pop that thing out over there, and that's going to drop that to the ground. Got another one over here. Now there's a light switch in there, and we can see those lights right here that says RR. And actually what I'll do is I'll turn that on just so you all can see what I'm talking about right there. There's that switch right there. We turn that bugger on. And you have a number of lights all through the bottom of the frame of this thing here that are going to turn on. Okay, so now as we look at the back of the teardrop, as we swing our attention up from the suspension on the back here, one of the things I want to talk about, you know, it's funny, that last video I did, I spoke about 7 hidden things. I forgot what I called it. Anyway, 7 hidden things on a Escapod Topo 2. And here's something else that I learned through a comment. Somebody made a comment to me about that, hey, does this come off the trailer? And friends, it absolutely does. And I just learned that myself. So these little knobs right here, there's 1, 2, 3. So you twist these things out here. This solar panel is, so if you decide you want to park this underneath the shade and so forth, get it out of the sun, you can remove the solar panel. There's little kickstands underneath here, and this has a 12-foot cable that's going to allow you to get that solar panel away from the trailer, keeping the trailer itself inside the shade. That's pretty cool, because again, when you think about it, and I was just speaking about this in another video, getting off grid, staying off grid is all about what? Having the resources to stay there. Now, when you have a big old AC unit up on the top there, you need to keep those batteries charged, and nothing is going to do that better than keeping the solar panel inside the sun. So with the power taken care of and so forth, man, that's going to extend your run time, your stay out time much, much longer. Now, looking at the back here, we have a couple sets of lights here that really show really nice. We have, actually, it's funny, one of my other passions, things I really enjoy is photography. And photography is all about frame, contrast, symmetry, colors, all that other fun stuff. I like that nice little touch of that red and the E there for Escapod in the back there. That looks really, really fantastic. Now what I'm going to do here is we're going to keep swinging over, talking about the exterior, and then we're going to come back, revisit the back, because the kitchen is a whole talking point by itself. So we're going to finish off with the exterior, then we're going to swing by over there. Now, which I could have covered on the other side. These are 30. Now, one thing I do want to point out, as you're looking at this trailer here, there are 31-inch tires that are on here. Now, there are Vision wheels that it comes with and so forth. Now, I'd be willing to bet you can put 33-inch tires onto this thing as well. So if you want a little bigger footprint on the ground, that's going to be fantastic. You can do so. Now, as we step over to the passenger side, again, we have a little reflector light down below there. We have that beautiful side. Again, as you can see here, you can put that table that I was talking about on either side. And we have our water input right here. And again, one of the things I really admire, you know, look at the quality and the heavy duty hardware that they use on this thing here. Again, it reminds me, I was just talking about the Skinny Guy camper in the last video. The hardware on there reminds me of like marine grade stainless steel finished stuff. It's very heavy, and that's pretty cool stuff. If you own a boat, you know what I'm talking about. Marine grade stuff is pretty pricey. All right, so we have that other light that I shared with you about, and of course our big old door here, and that is it. So the passenger side here is pretty much what it is. Now on the front, one thing I do want to point out here, you have this massive window. This is a bay window up front here. This thing actually pops up. So when we go inside, play around on the inside, I'll show you what I mean. But this thing actually comes up. And for me, that is one of those big selling points. There's a few things about this trailer that I've said over and over again that really jump out, make this a big win for me. Now, I've said over and over again that teardrop trailer is not my thing, but again, I keep talking about there are a few things about this trailer that really make it a big win for me. That big bay window in the front there, as you're laying down, not only do you have those big doors on both sides with the screens open, but let's say you have them closed and so forth. That's actually one thing I want to point out. You have these magnetic, you know, kind of shade or curtains on there, and look at the size of the windows. Now these are tinted, and so you do have some privacy with that, but if you have the AC running, you can still look through that big massive window up on the top there. So that is pretty stinking cool. That's, again, we're talking about some of the things that just really jump out to me. All right, so before we go diving into the interior, we're gonna kick things off with cracking open, getting access to the kitchen. Access to the kitchen, you're gonna lift this right here, and boom, there you go. There is your water tank right there. You have a slide right here that you can mount your fridge on. That is actually quite sturdy. You have a couple holes on each side to make sure, actually you have on both sides right there, so you can cinch that down, lock that thing down so that doesn't go anyplace. Actually, I do want to point out you do have this carpet on the bottom, which adds a nice touch. All right, in case you missed my last video, one of the things that I really admire, see, I like cooking when I go heading out. So you have this seating rack that kind of pops out, and you have all these things sitting in there, nice and convenient. Now, down below that, you see a couple more yellow tabs. Put that camera down, and we're going to pull this out. And here you go. You have your 2-burner cooktop right there, and right below that, we have a little bit more storage that really slide. I mean, again, look at that. You have a slide within a slide, and that is pretty darn cool. And then if we lead our attention up on top here, you have this massive preparation. I mean, look at all this stainless steel. Friends, this was one of the things that when I first saw this trailer, to me, this looks very classy. This looks really, that's cool. I love this big cook preparation space, whatever you want to do with it. You have this deep sink. The faucet feels really nice. It looks very contemporary. Now, you may recall of my last video, this is where you're going to plug your shower into, and you may recall there's a magnet or spot that you hang your shower up right over here. Okay, now as I pointed out in one of my last videos here, right behind this right here, you have a knife rack right there, which is pretty cool. This can be used as a cutting board. And right back behind that is going to be your heater assembly as well. Now, when we shift over right here, as you can see here, you have a lot of space. Now, one thing I do want to point out here, your batteries for this is going to be right behind here. Again, you have 240 amp hours of battery. Now, if your trailer is equipped with an inverter, that's going to be positioned behind here as well. But again, you have a tremendous amount of space, storage here, which is absolutely what the doctor ordered when you're heading off grid. Again, space is your biggest commodity when you're heading off grid. But again, so they really appointed the back of this really nice. And again, on the top of this here, you have this carpet is continuing up on the roof here. And also, one thing I need to point out, you do have a light up here. Now, the cool thing with this light, and I'm going to hit the switch here, it's either white or move the switch down, you have red. And friends, I'm turning that on right here. So that is actually pretty darn cool. So also another thing about this top here, which is slick. So when you're out here and it's during the sun and so forth, this is actually going to keep you, keep you in the shade from the sun itself, because this is a pretty good sized door. When we step back, you can really get a sense of just how big that is there, because that's coming down, covering that whole tail end of that thing. So that gives you quite a bit of, I mean, we're out in the sun right now, and so as you can see here, this is a lot of space underneath here. So if you're prepping dinner, lunch, whatever for the kids or yourself, you have a lot of space here. Now, as I pointed out in my last video as well, look at the sturdiness. And one of you had commented on how the hinge assembly is holding that up, because you mentioned that that's a big door here. You're right, it is a big rear hatch on this thing here, but as you can see here, the hinges are extremely well, I mean, these things are really, really solid here. And they also have the Topo 2 branding on them, which I mentioned in the last video. Okay, friends, I'm going to crack this door open right here, and we're going to take a dive into the center of this and start breaking down some of the cool little hidden features inside of this camper right here. Now, the mattress still has a plastic wrap on it for obvious reasons. I've just borrowed this trailer, and so I'm not going to take the plastic wrap off of it just for me to go out and play in it. So obviously that keeps the mattress all spanking brand new. But as we can see inside of here, you have that kind of swankiness from outside. That same fit and finish follows you inside. You have a couple big lights here, and that is controlled through these right here, and that's a dimmer switch right there. So as you can see up in the top there, kind of hard to tell in daylight, but you can see that goes down, and you can crank that all the way up. And again, that is being controlled right through here. All right, now, as we learned last time, when you pull the little trick with these cabinets here, you pull these out, bring this one over here, and right there, incidentally, we can see are all the electronics right there. From the ZAMP there showing, actually it's showing that we're receiving solar right now. Then there's your Truma control right there, and your main battery on and off switch right there. Now, back towards this here. With these two open like this, you can pull this down, and voila, look at that. How cool. You have a place to put your computer, your tablet, whatever you want, and sit here. You know, it's funny, as I was thinking about doing this video, I intended to bring my my iPad with me so I can play show and tell with it, and I forgot.
Is this necessary?
And so, any rate, oh, you know what? I just noticed something. Look at up there, 40. I think that's latitude, longitude of, I'm guessing, probably where Escapod is located. I'm going to put it on the screen what that means right there, but that's the first time seeing that. You know what's funny? It's like reading a good book and going back, reading it again, or seeing a good movie, watching it again. You notice little things every single time, and I've not noticed that before, and it's funny because it just smacks you in the face. So I'll put on the screen what that means. But anyways, going back to that, you have the AC unit, which I've spoken about many times in some of my prior videos, is absolute, it's the real deal. It's going to make this space like a fridge in here. Okay, on the left and right, you have these big, we have these big storage spaces right here. Again, a lot of storage inside of this here, and it's the same on that side as well. So popping these back up here, we have another AC outlet right over here. And again, just the finish right here is just really fantastic. Now, one thing I do want to point out here is a ton of ample room for your feet to go. I mean, this is a full queen size mattress inside of this thing here. Now, also, one thing I do want to point out, on each side of the entry, you have this kind of like mudroom space here, so you can take your shoes off. And this is probably one of my biggest pet peeves with trailers or even rooftop tents. When you get inside of it, I don't want my feet anywhere near where I'm putting my head or my body to sleep and so forth. And here, when you get in here, I mean, this is cool. Okay. Let's see if we can do this here. I don't want to hear anything about my socks. These are those hidden socks, and you know, they stay out of the way.
Well, that's one way of putting it.
Anyways, look, you can pop your shoes right in there, and it doesn't even fit. I'm sorry, it even touch where you're putting your head or your body. Up on the top there, if you have a coat that you need to hang up, there's a couple little coat racks spots up there. Pretty awesome spot. And again, here up on the top, you have your output for your heater. That's the Truma heater that is in the back. Again, look at that's really, it's built in quite nicely into both sides. And also, speaking of both sides, right over here, we have a couple USB-C, USB power ports. You have a wireless charger, and it's actually the same. And actually, speaking of which, you have this little spot right here. You can put a beverage so that stays put. Obviously, on the other side, you have the same as well. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Like the doors, you have this magnetic both screen as well as shade cover that goes up on the top there. That is pretty cool. So you can open this up right here and have the screen there. Again, you're talking about a massive amount of airflow that's able to come in here. Now, one thing as well, look at more storage. That's a lot of storage space right there. So again, we're talking about these guys really made good use of every nook and cranny inside of this trailer. So now, going back to Alex, another Topo 2 video. Yeah, because there's always something new, something that you can find out. And plus, also gives me an opportunity to visually answer a lot of the questions that we received after a particular video. I'm sure there's going to be more questions from you folks after you watch this video as well. And anyways, happy to create these videos here for you. All right, friends, and there you go, the Topo 2. Hopefully this video is going to answer any leftover questions that you folks may have on it itself. But if there were anything that I did not cover in this video, leave a comment down below or send an email over to 4-Wheel Drive Talk, and I'll be happy to do what I can to find that answer. Now, one thing I do want to point out is, if you are in the market for one of these and you don't want to wait, now right now a lot of manufacturers have 3, 4, 5 month waiting times to get these trailers. Now, for the reason like I shared in the beginning, BTR Outfitters, where I'm at right now, they actually have these trailers on their lot, which they were again kind enough to let me come out here, play around with these, and create another video for you folks. That said, if you have any questions or want one and don't want to wait, give BTR Outfitters a call. I will put a link to them in the description below. But friends, that is all I have here for you today. I will see you in the next video.